and socialization. The Blogapalooza, that was a community builder. That was a heck of a fan club. I mean, and so there have been all kinds of things that we've all tried, and on the blogs too, that have worked. And I don't know of any other place in the country that has done this. And I think it's because of the fact that we're hungry or needy or have dire necessities.
Well, let's talk about, Peter talked about a purpose-driven online community versus a personal blog. And I think that there's a lot of us here that are purpose-driven for whatever reasons. They may be different reasons, but we are kind of purpose-driven. Does that make a difference?
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yes, you may.
Because I don't think you can have a personal blog and sustain it, okay? It has to sort of become something outside of yourself because you're going to lose interest in things.
Right.
You know, I was just talking with a guy who, a lot of people probably know Bill Barrow, who works at CSU. He's the like Cleveland History
Memory Project.
Memory Project, right? And he was saying he was really excited about blogging, and he hit it really hard, and he went really good for about a year. And then because he didn't have a community that was active around him, you know, that was kind of sending him emails like, hey, you know, you should blog about this, or, you know, I just came across this. He just kind of lost interest in it, and he wasn't able to sustain it. So I think it's really important to connect with other people. I always kind of look at it as like the sort of first order of becoming a blogger is just going out and reading blogs and reading the stuff that you're interested in. Then you kind of like, well, maybe I should comment on this, and you know, you'll think about commenting, but you won't actually comment, you know. And then you'll start leaving comments about stuff, and then eventually, you know, like Valdez, you'll start your own blog.
You know, George, one thing you find out too, once you start blogging, is if you're going to carry it on, you can't, like Bill, take the whole thing on your shoulders and carry it. But the one thing you found out early on was it's not about George. It's not about Tim. It's not about Gloria. It's about everybody. And at that point, you cede control, and the more you cede control, the more powerful that blog becomes. And you were the ultimate in ceding control.
Ed, wait a minute. Ed Hauser had his hand up, Jim, and then Yoli next. Okay? Ed?
A few observations and some experience that I've come across. I've been involved in these billion-dollar projects that are going to change the face of Cleveland: lakefront planning, convention center, inner belt, and then some historic preservation type stuff. And the way I've approached it is being a foot soldier, going to these meetings, doing public records requests, getting up, and Brian Cummings probably knows me at City Hall, and just being relentless. But I don't see a lot of other people by my side getting up to microphones, writing letters to the commissioners. So there needs to be a blend of getting the foot soldiers out and really getting involved with the government, going to the meetings. It's difficult if you have a day job. If you do have a day job, you're burnt out and you don't want to do this stuff. But how do you get this network of bloggers and the different websites and get people to get to these meetings on the big things that the bigger issues, and it doesn't have to be the billion-dollar issues. It could be something significant, but that's what we have to figure out how to blend is to get.
But the thing of it is people are going to go to the things that they're interested in. They're going to, you know, not everybody is interested in saving Whiskey Island, though it's a really good thing to do. You know, so my attitude has always been, you know, I mean, there's been plenty of Meet the Bloggers interviews where it's been me, Tim, and Gloria, and the person that we're interviewing, you know. So I had to, like, you know, I started Meet the Bloggers as this participatory thing. Like, it's an open event, anybody who wants to can come.
Well,
right?
I guess, George.
But there were so many of those things, and I you know, talking about being a foot soldier, we had to kind of soldier on without the expectation of other people participating.
Well, I guess the point I wanted to make was that blogging is wonderful. You get the word out, people listen, it's opinion, it's observations of a person. But if there's things that we really want to make change here in this city, there has to be a combination of both. If you just read someone's opinion, and they're intelligent opinions, but until you get into the mayor's face, the commissioner's face, the governor's face,
I want to make a distinction.
Tim?
there needs to be a blending of that somehow.
No, but you don't get anybody to do anything, and that's the thing. That's the old way. Actually, you can entertain, you can attract, you can do this. You can't compel. And people, as George was trying to say, they do it at their own speed. And that's what's different about the blogosphere is you go ahead, you lay it out there, and people pick it up on it. But
I said, please let other people.
You have to sit next.
I know. You ignored me completely because Jim O'Brien has been waiting to say something and
Well,
so
no, I just want to bring up what he's talking about, bringing people
Right.
together, we all meet the bloggers and eye-opener and all that. Well, one of the things I noticed early on was there's a huge disconnect. A lot of people don't have computer access. A lot of people can't get out. How do you get the word to them? So that's one of the reasons why we developed a very low-cost way to turn blogs into websites, into print, and get it out. The other thing that George and I have talked about, because Meet the Bloggers is a great idea because you're able to put all these ideas together that you can then move out for. But it's the sustainability issue. How can you afford to keep some of these websites going, some of these projects going that are truly a labor of love, but not a way to make an income? So what we had found out was through print, you can attract the advertisers, get the money, underwrite the project, and let it grow. So while we're all talking blogging, because we're all blogging, we're online, let's not forget the people without computers. I mean, I was working with Norm Roulet out in East Cleveland, and he's saying 10% of the citizens have computer access. You can't leave those people at the gate. We've got to drag them. How do these people even know if there's free use computers if they don't have a computer? So as I always like to put it, I'm a 53-year-old fat man. When they put me in the ground, there's going to be newspapers. There's ways to use it. Let's use it for advocacy.
Put you in the ground.
Probably, and not much more.
I think it's more about what is the message that we're trying to get out. It's the medium. We can use all the mediums, whether it's blogging, whether it's Stephanie's newspaper, whether it's the Observer newspapers. I think we need to think about how do we network together and how can we develop these structures, not just blogging, but how can we develop all these interconnections and different forms of media to reach out and say, these are great ideas, let's talk about it.
Walter, or Bill.
The last few comments have made clear that I actually didn't say clearly what I intended to say before, which was that you have a room full of people who, by definition of the subject, have something that they want to say to other people, right? And a wider audience and a wider potential circle of allies, of turnout, of whatever it is you want people to do about whatever it is you want them to do. The value added in the last 10 years on top of community newspapers and other kinds of standard forums has been the digital media, right? And the issue to me, which is, and I was pointing to Valdis's kind of method because, in a sense, doing the network modeling, doing the network map and figuring out who's not in the network map, where the nodes aren't that would get to other people, right, is to me a critical element of building a new network of multiple media in the community that makes it possible for everybody to have a wider audience. That's what I was really getting at. So, yes, it's true that I blog and some people read that, and I have an email list and I send it to people, but I'm also still out there calling people on the phone, having meetings, right? Interacting with people in CDCs, interacting with people in the neighborhood, and so are a lot of other people, right? It is true that a lot of people can't do the computer stuff yet, which is why it's important to get out there and train them and help make it happen, right? But what I was getting at was that if you look at this as a big, complex set of interacting media and network possibilities, and you think about how to build it and strengthen that, then everybody from every quarter has the opportunity to amplify what they're trying to do. And you also find that there's a lot of overlapping agendas. So you find other allies that you didn't know. That's what I was getting at.
It's Bill, I know you wanted to say something, Mark, but Valdis has been very patient back there in the back. He waves to me every once in a while. And I know he has something to tell us.
Well, I think what Bill is saying is very important. Is one of the ways to strengthen your network is to diversify your network.
Can you speak up?
One of the ways to strengthen your network is to diversify your network, to connect to parts